I am back with Marty Rose, New York City Baseball, past, present, and future. Alan Blumkin is on assignment this week, and we got a lot to talk about, Marty Rose.
Yes, we do, Ralph.
First of all, how are things in Florida?
Hot, man. It's hot. You know, the weather here, I mean, now, okay, it's the middle of, almost the end of July. I understand that. But every day is basically the same, week after week here in the summer. It's like
with the rain in the afternoon.
Low to mid 90s in the daytime, low 70s at night, and almost not quite every day, but almost every day, passing thunder showers. So
3:30.
So it's not like in New York, you'd get these cloudy days, and the clouds would stay for the whole day. You know, it was a cloudy day. It's a cloudy day all day, maybe 2 days even. Here, there hasn't been like a cloudy day the whole day since I've been here. It's been sunny, and you know, rolling thunderstorm comes in, goes out, sun's out again. It's a big difference.
Let me ask you this. Is the humidity higher? I only grew up in New York, as you know, and left when I was like 20, spent one summer in the city, and Love and Spoonful, as a matter of fact, and I thought the humidity was squelching, and it just made it do it. Is the humidity as bad in Florida as it is in New York?
I don't think so. It may be to the people that have lived here all along, but not to me.
Okay.
Like right now, the humidity is 55%, which, you know, I guess that's kind of high if you're in used to a drier climate, but.
Right, but New York wasn't that dry.
It was always.
Are you more uncomfortable in Florida in the summer, or were you, or New York in the summer, if you could remember back, which shouldn't be?
Well, those hot days in New York, to me, you'd walk out and you'd start sweating because of the high humidity. Here,
right.
It's not like that. It's just the sun being out all the time, beating down. It's hot, but you don't sweat from the humidity like you do in New York and in August, for example. It is different.
And I do know that winters in Florida are luxurious compared to the snow and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm in Jacksonville. You know, it's a little different in Jacksonville than it is in South Florida. You know, it is like 300 miles, like from here to, like, say, Fort Lauderdale. It's 300 miles. That 300 miles is a big difference in the weather, because down there, you know, it rarely goes lower than the 60s. Here, I'm told, it can be in the 30s in the winter at night, but in the daytime, you know, it's going to warm up to the 60s probably at the coldest.
Well, I didn't realize that your part of Florida had that drastic a weather change from where.
Yeah, I'm only, we're only like less than an hour from the Georgia border, so I mean, we're really, the 300 miles does make quite a bit of a difference.
Right. Did you do any sightseeing in Georgia or any of the southern states going down, or anything to,
depends what you're into.
There?
You know, we've only been here a few months. We really haven't spread out, done a lot of sightseeing yet, although we're pretty close to St. Augustine, which is very nice, and we've been there a couple of times. But there's a lot of nice beach areas. The Georgia coast has some nice beach areas.
Right.
A lot of the historical places along the way are more like, Civil War related, the
Right.
historical places because of what happened back then, but like I say, we've only been here since March, so.
And for the most part, you're enjoying it. You're not disappointed that you chose Jacksonville.
No, I like it here. It's very
beautiful.
nice, and but like I say, I'm only renting, so I can pretty much leave whenever I want to, if I want to.
Right. And Peg likes it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's out in the sun quite a bit. Not me. I can only take so much of it. The beach is
I'm
nice.
a sun guy too. I can sit with the radio and lie out there and just spend a nice afternoon. We each have our paradises, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast.
That's true.
And makes it nice. Let's talk a little ball. Big trade today, Yankees and Cubs. What's your first impression? I'll tell you mine.
Well, I think it locks things up for the Cubs. I mean, if they weren't the favorite to win the pennant, they're the favorite now, in my opinion.
Right.
And
this guy, his numbers, Chapman's numbers are unbelievable. Not strikeouts per inning. Like 14 strikeouts per 9 innings.
His stuff is just unbelievable. I mean, I think he hit 105 the other day on the gun.
Yeah, right. Of a number of times over the years.
And he's consistently 100. Consistently. 100, 101, 102. I mean, unbelievable. Yeah.
Has his decorum, have you followed anything about that? Was he a good citizen up in New York?
Very good. Oh, yeah. He's been
good teammate?
Good. I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Haven't heard a bad thing. Look, he's got to be on his best behavior after what happened, especially because he's a free agent at the end of this year. So.
Yeah, but some people don't have a best behavior, so it's nice to know that he has one.
Yeah. No, he's been good. He's been good.
Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. Nice for him. And, deep down, there's no baseball fan that doesn't want to see, on some levels, the Cubs do well.
You're right. No, I feel that way, too. I feel for the fans there.
Right, that's what I mean. Right, exactly.
There's nobody alive. There's nobody alive that's seen them win a World Series, and probably few that have seen them in a World Series. So,
right, that was 1945, the last time.
Yeah.
The year before we were born, and we're getting middle-aged almost.
Yes. Yeah, we're up there. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true.
Wow.
Especially after the George Will book I just read recently about basically about Wrigley Field and the Cubs and all that, And one of the things that got me that he said was, I don't know, if you remember, like a few years back, I don't remember how many years back it's been, but they were playing the Padres in the playoffs, and the Cubs won the first 2 games in Wrigley Field, and people were starting, to think maybe something's happening here. And this George Will, who's a great writer, as you know, he's saying to people, they're going to lose 3 straight out there. You know it. I know it. I mean, it's like you're beaten. You don't have a chance. You're beaten down as a fan, So I think that, anybody that does not have a team in the playoffs playing the Cubs, has got to be rooting for the Cubs.
Right. Exactly. Could you imagine when it's bad? It's not easy being a Met fan. Let's face that. We had a choice. We could have copped out, been Yankee fans, right from the start. No one could have blamed us, but we couldn't do it. And no, but we root for what we get. It isn't easy, but it's not torturous in the way it must be for the Cubs. And then there was the Bartman thing. They came very close on that. And then the real tragedy of Banks never getting into postseason play.
Yeah. Terrible, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a guy with the greatest attitude going, and he had Brock, and they traded him away, and it just doesn't seem to work. I hope it does, with the asterisk, if you'll excuse the expression, Ford Frick, would be the Mets, of course, and that brings us to let's go over the Yankee prospects that they got a little bit. Here's my take. It does make the Cubs unbeatable, and if the trade were for the long haul, if Chapman weren't just a rental, you would have to bring in the idea, at least it would cross people's mind, is that do you ever want to acquire a pitcher trading for position players? What are the odds that a position player will not be hurt or live up to his baseball card, as opposed to a pitcher? The uncertainty of that. But we're in a new era of everything is so much based on finance. How much do the Cubs pick up of the salary? Do you know? And do you think they gave up enough to make it worthwhile for the Yankees?
Well, look, the Yankees got. I don't have the information in front of me, but from what I heard,
they got a young 19-year-old
shortstop, right? Who's very highly rated.
Go wrong that way. If that's one of the best prospects in the Cubs organization, you really can't go wrong with a 19-year-old shortstop.
No.
And they got a pitcher that they got back, a pitcher that they traded to get Stalin Castro. And that pitcher is pretty versatile. He could start and relieve, and it gives them a few more options down the road, which
Adam Warren? Yeah, Adam Warren, right?
Yes, Adam Warren.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good when he was here, although I think the Cubs had sent him down recently, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I heard that. But, look, a 19-year-old shortstop, highly rated, is great. Let me tell you something, though. Didi Gregorius has been excellent for them. He's been very good, really good.
Definitely their best all-around ball player, yes.
So what people have been saying is that, you got a 19-year-old shortstop, the guy has to be a terrific athlete, which means if he's that good, he could change positions. Or
that's right. Yeah.
Or be retraded if he's that good for get retraded for somebody else. So where they have more of a need. But, it looks like third base within a year or two is going to be a big need. They don't have anybody over there.
Well, Headley's over there now. He's not doing well.
Headley, who's, he's not that good, to tell you the truth. He's not having a good year. I know he's not having a good year at all. He's not even as good as he was in San Diego.
He was a highly touted guy.
Yeah. But he hasn't
that shows
been that good.
Doesn't. Yeah.
And Castro at second, he's still young. He's only 26. So and he's been pretty good for them at second base. So,
right. And I like the idea this brings in two outfield prospects as well, because they are getting long in the tooth in outfield.
Well, unfortunately for them, they're going to be stuck with Ellsbury for a while. Because,
right.
I think he's signed through like 2020 or something like that. And and he makes huge money. Yeah, he signed through 20, and he makes huge money. So there's no way they could even move him.
Right.
Gardner, he's getting up there. He's adequate, but
Beltran's getting older.
Well, Beltran's done. Beltran is after this year. He's gone. He's finished.
Okay.
His contract is up. So, if they did trade him, he'd be a rental for somebody. So, he's got to be replaced. But they got a kid that they're very high on in Triple A. Aaron Judge, I believe.
Heard of him, yes.
And I think he was hurt a fair part of this year, but they're very high on him. And Teixeira is gone after this year, and they got this guy Greg Bird, who's been out for the whole season. But I don't know if you remember last year, he filled in for quite a while, and he was a sensation in Yankee Stadium, one of these left-handed hitters that has the stroke, for the right field seats there. And he's a young kid. So he's like 24. So, they do have some guys that, if they're ready by next year, could help right away. But
now, you don't look at this trade getting rid of Chapman as a fire sale.
Well, no, because
Miller,
Miller,
2 games up, 4.5 games out of a wild card.
they're not giving up yet.
Right.
Miller was their closer last year, and Miller is very good. They're not going to trade him. If they trade him, then you figure they're throwing in the towel, But they're not going to trade him. So he'll go back to being the closer, and Betances will move from the 7th inning to the 8th inning like he was last year.
And maybe the kid they got back will do 6th inning or long relief.
Warren, they could find somebody else for the 7th inning. I mean, he's probably not going to be as good as Betances was there, but, you do what you got to do. You can't stand pat.
No, that's for sure. Which brings us to the Mets outfield a little bit.
Oh boy.
I had a pleasant surprise to see that Conforto made a tremendous catch in center field.
The first batter.
Right. Surprised. I mean, it just shocked me how good a catch it was and how instinctively he reacted. I know he has a good arm. That could be an answer that never even crossed my mind. I was hoping they'd put Lagares. Now that Cespedes is going to be in left field pretty much full time, I guess that means that's the reason I didn't call him Canseco when I referred to him. It's that if he could be steady, I could make that effort. My brain works in mysterious ways. But I thought for sure they'd put Lagares in there in center field and leave him there.
Yeah.
And
I love Lagares
speed.
out there. Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah. I love Lagares out there. I mean,
Me too.
Me too. Terrific. I mean,
he was a Gold Glover a couple of years ago. I don't understand.
He plays so shallow that he takes those singles away that usually drop in.
Right.
He takes those away, and 9 out of 10 times he'll catch the ones over his head also.
Right.
I mean, because he plays shallow, he's not going to get every single one back there. But that's with Conforto, they're going to have to position him really well because he's not fast. He has no speed.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen when that ball that comes right at you? I mean, I don't know how much they've played him out there in practice or whatever, but when you're in center field and that ball is hit directly at you, man, you gotta that first step means whether you're gonna get it or not. Yeah, it's hard. That takes years to get right. And I'm almost positive that we're going to get hurt by that.
From that standpoint, yeah. I always wondered why they didn't switch Conforto and Granderson, given Conforto's much better arm in spring training. I mean, it's moot now that Cespedes is going to be playing out there on a regular basis, but that crossed my mind back then.
Yeah. I don't think I don't know.
Too early to see. He seems to have gotten a stroke back a little bit by being in the minors.
Yeah. Well, the problem was he got pull happy, So that was the problem, and since he's come back, he's been more patient, and I guess he's hitting to all fields a lot better. So I'm sure that it's going to be, if not a strict platoon, it'll be pretty much of a platoon with him and Lagares, lefty righty. So.
Right. It sounds that way.
Conforto
and
will play
you
more.
got Lagares in the late innings. You got the luxury of bringing him off the bench.
Absolutely, that's a definite. Yeah. You will definitely see that.
And probably move Conforto over to left, maybe, and take out Cespedes, or
I tell you, from what that'd be a good move. Yeah. That would be a good move from what I'm seeing, but I don't know about you want to hurt Cespedes' feelings or whatever, but
Cespedes it hurts my feelings that Cespedes' quad is hurt.
That's true.
I'm sure it's nothing personal directed at me, but I'm paranoid, so you never know. Quad Castro C, Cespedes' quad no.
I got you.
It got me.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Mert. I apologize. I always apologize in advance because there's going to be something. In any event, he is seriously curtailed by that quad, and you can't take him out and lose the bat, and that's something that he does need to rest. Manager's always going to be torn. I remember how Stengel would come up to Mantle and say, the leg didn't fall off, did it? And Mantle said, no. He said, well, you can play today, right? Whatever it was, tape it up. Yeah, and so let's come to the one serious subject I want to address. That is, I've never heard anybody question it. None of the beat writers from the Mets, none of the columnists, no ESPN, none of that. Should Dan Warthen's job be in somewhat of jeopardy? Pitching coach.
I don't see why.
Okay.
I don't know. Why? I mean, because of the injuries. I mean,
not so much I don't know. I really can't give you. Is it the injuries? Is it the inning toll? Is it? I don't know.
I think it's. I think you hit on it there. You got these young arms with a lot of innings on them. You know,
right.
It's hard to believe, but Thor, this is his first full year. Syndergaard.
Absolutely.
You know, you keep getting that. When he came up last year, wasn't he?
I'm not. I guess the main reason I say that is Thor and the way he doesn't hold on runners. I mean, is there no instruction along those lines? He is absolutely. It's almost a given unless you have Rivera in there that they're going to run all over the place.
Well,
and
there's been a lot of talk about
in there.
There's been a lot of talk about that, about Rivera. You know, he was in there last night. And what Mats do? 6 shutout innings.
Right. Yeah.
Hello.
I don't know how much you're losing by putting him in there all the time offensively because no one's doing all that great, which brings us...
I know he's not doing anything.
Right.
I mean,
and which brings us with another subject of trade rumors. Darno reportedly was offered for LaCroix and was turned down. Now, it would have freed Milwaukee of some salary or this, that, and the other thing. It would have helped both teams. And Darno is just not doing what...
Darno and who else, though? Had to be somebody else.
Well, they were talking even up for one reason or another. I don't.
That wouldn't have been possible. I'm sure there was somebody else.
Milwaukee's out of it. You figure that Darno is more of a future. LaCroix's gone anyway. But Milwaukee reputedly turned the trade down. The more of Rivera I see, the more I like. And he does hit occasionally. He had 2 or 3 hits the other night. That
he did. He did. Look, the more you play, the more you're going to hit, frankly. We've seen that with other people.
And it's funny how some guys can and some guys can't be part-time role players, which brings my question to you about Flores.
I knew that was coming. I knew you were going to say that.
Okay.
There's a lot of people here are upset that Flores is not playing more, especially since Cabrera is 0 for 31 or 32 with runners in scoring position. So, look, now that Reyes is here,
move him over.
It doesn't have to be every day, but why not?
Rest,
If you want to get Flores in there every day, rest somebody every day. He could play anywhere in the infield. Oh, I wouldn't put him at short, but when he does go in there, play Reyes at short. Put him at third. Rest Walker, who hasn't been doing much lately. Put him at second. You know, I like Loney a lot, even against left-handed.
He beat out Tejada last year at short. Not that he was that great, but he wasn't he wasn't horrible. I wouldn't want to see him at short, but with the and you even have Reynolds in the system, who's excellent defensively. So
when he was up earlier this year, he got some big hits. Matt Reynolds, he got some big hits. I'm proud
to say he's my Facebook friend, and I asked him if he wanted to be on the show.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. He didn't respond.
Yeah, he's wow.
Yeah, I'm sure he has a million Facebook. But that would be nice.
He's only 26, another young guy.
Right.
So,
and their best prospect too is a shortstop who's moving his way up slowly but surely. But not to take anything away from Cabrera in this discussion, he hasn't been hitting with runners in scoring position, but nobody has.
I know.
He's been so solid defensively. And I think when you were speaking of Conforto being played, having him play properly, moved around properly, that isn't throughout baseball, it isn't even an issue anymore. These guys have these incredible stats available as to precisely where they hit against precisely who's pitching and what they're throwing. And the positioning has been incredibly strange but effective for most teams. Hitting is down incredibly, and I think it has a lot to do with that. I think it has a lot to do with guys that won't go against the shift, so to speak.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So,
I've seen guys, in the last few days, I've seen a number of guys try to bunt down the third baseline unsuccessfully. You know?
Yeah.
I think somebody on the Mets might have even done it with 2 strikes from them. It might have been Granderson. I don't know. That I don't get with 2 strikes. But
I
no,
don't get that
you're right.
To anything.
They got to try.
Right.
They have to try to do that more because the shift is just killing the left-handed hitters. Just killing them.
Well, it's just like anything else. It's like a pitcher adjusting to you, and once they do that, you have to adjust. The batter has to adjust. So it should be that if they're adjusting to pitchers, they should be adjusting to the way they're played. That's easier said than done, of course, when a guy's throwing 105 miles an hour. So I don't think I'd be able to hit 105. I'm just guessing. I don't want to sell myself short.
Yeah.
I don't want to blame my age. And I don't want to say that I can't because, if you keep a positive attitude, Mert, anything could happen.
I don't know about that.
No, you don't. And
even when we were kids, when we were kids,
reason,
and we went to the batting cage, when we were kids and we went to the batting cage,
on Northern Boulevard,
I could never hit the fastball. The fastest one, never.
Right.
Even when I was a kid. I don't know how fast that fastball was, but I'm sure it wasn't 100.
Well,
I'm sure it wasn't.
Should we share the story about Elm Jack Little League? How for 40 years you set me straight on why we didn't make Elm Jack Little League after all, and you had a great tryout, and that you didn't make it. We both didn't, but you didn't, so it made me feel like, well, Mert didn't make it, so, it must have been something else. And then you explained it to me years later, and so I don't feel so badly about that.
Well, I was like one of the littlest kids there for one thing, and I was always
shorter, but you were stocky, and you batted left-handed, and you hit the ball. You're a strong little guy, Mert.
I hit the
that
ball.
Wasn't it. You had
a run.
Good. You could run.
I could run when we were kids. Yeah.
And you had a good tryout that particular day. We didn't get to play much hardball. We were a concrete environment. Do you remember before Southridge was built, there were lots across the street from Northern?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
there
one of
was
my
a
earliest
baseball
memories.
diamond there where the Blessed Sacrament High School played their baseball games there.
Did not know that.
It was on Northern Boulevard and about 93rd Street, something like that.
Right, a block. Yes, we were on 91st Street.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they'd have the carnival come in the summertime, in the springtime. with the rides. And I learned to ride my bike on that dirt field. And that was before they put up like 12 six-story apartment buildings, right?
Well, yeah.
But it changed the whole. When we moved out there, when we all, this post-war thing, it was almost like being in the country. I can remember when the street in front of our apartment buildings was not paved. Do you remember that one?
Wow.
Yeah, I remember a junk truck.
Sure.
With drunk wagon, not a drunk wagon, a junk wagon pulled by a horse up 91st Street between 32nd and Northern Boulevard.
Wow.
On an unpaved road. They just built Northridge.
That I can't remember, but I do remember as a kid watching out the window as they built the building across the street.
In Jeffrey Foreman's building.
Yeah. I watched them build that building because, my building was 1A. 1A, my building was the first building built in Northridge. 1A.
And I guess, and they were 1A?
My building was building 1A.
Okay, I didn't know that. And because when we got there, I don't remember if you guys were home. We bought apartment 201 in my building, and my mother went right to apartment 201 in your building to see if there were kids or whatever. And Shelley Levinson was the first kid that I got to meet before I met you.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And
he was in 401.
He was in 401, right. So my mother went right up to 401 because for one reason or another, 201, you guys weren't home or whatever it was, but it was, she wanted to see what the apartment would be like, what a apartment would be, because they bought the building before it was even constructed. So, so we're only going back 60 years with this one. Not even 60, 65.
That's right. That's right.
Right? Wow.
Yeah, it was 1952, I believe.
Right, which puts us at 5 or 6 years old, right? I went to kindergarten in Manhattan and first grade in Jackson Heights. And all the baseball listeners out there can give a rat's ass, but doesn't matter. We like it. And at least I'm honest, everybody. I want to tell you, Mert, it's always a pleasure. They got to listen. We got to chat. We had fun, and they were informed.
And we got a rain out tonight, by the way.
Oh,
we got a rain out tonight.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, doubleheader tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern. So.
A split doubleheader or a doubleheader?
4 o'clock. It must be a straight doubleheader.
Oh, that's unusual in today's day and age.
Twilight, yeah.
Yeah, somebody must have said, I wish we could have gotten more out of those fans, but I'm sorry, we couldn't. There was some team was probably taken off or whatever it was, but that's the way it goes. We'll talk during the week, Mert. I appreciate this more than you know.
All right, great. Had a good time.
Everybody out there, keep on keeping on, and we'll catch you on the flip-flop. Adios.
Good night.